applaud how you make that ass clap. You like that ass smack, but don't get mad at. You like a lab rat, do these experiments with. We not making love, it's an experience. Told me to dry the boat, she gon' be steering it. Sampled her friend, she provided the clearances. Heard I be stroking, like I'm that clearance kid. Beyonce Carter shit, not into making money. Got into some bartering, put my heart in it. Now I'm the hardest here. 2012 was crazy, but this is my harvesting year. I put sublime intention, divine intervention. Now my target is clear. Played my position, clear intuition. Now my cause is aware. Command my perception, demand my respecting. The effects get shared, just know that. This that cosmic slop. Put it on your plate like a home cooked meal. These bars hit the spot. Living in a toxic waste. So busy doing nothing. And it's right in our face. She all up in the mirror. Writing in her face. Without it she would see clear. Don't mean to throw shade. Call me a rude boy, but it's written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. You don't gotta do a verb. You just hit me with that nod and I pull up like a curb. Always say I'm tripping like it's something I ain't heard. Now she mad at me, she don't understand we speak telepathic like birds. Traveling magnetic, you can feel the surge of our connection, it's electric. Be encouraged that our sex is a weapon. The original man and woman is connected. Just expect that. Yo. Peace, it's the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com. Like I had a free couple hours and I had this idea on my mind and I was like, why is this idea in my mind? And then I kept doing research and it kept expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. So usually I'm here on the metaphysics and the esoteric and the astrology and the spirituality, and I'm still on that, but I'm really pulling from Bobby Hemmett, and where before he got into his esoterics, before he got into his speech, he always referenced what was going on in the days and times of the world and things like that, and how it relates to what's going on. I find that, me personally, my wife knows that I literally don't separate my world from the spirituality, from the mythology, from the ancient understanding. But when I speak specifically to that realm. But then sometimes I venture off and I get into popular culture and show how the esoterics and the metaphysics match up. So in this particular conversation, as opposed to me just randomly spouting off esoterics and confusing you and leaving you off into dust and things like that, I'm going to keep it very aligned as much as I can, because when you understand the secrets of the universe, and not even on some far out stuff, just basic colonial, they came and invaded our land and took away our history. So now that that history is coming into full surface, there is what I would call a resuppression, or an attempt to resuppress the energy that is rising within. So energy rising, we have to reference the Phoenix family, River and Jacqueline. Most importantly, Jacqueline being the actor who is the Joker, and River being his brother who passed away in 1993. And so in this particular talk, we're going to be talking about Kanye West, the Joker, Barack Obama, the Bible, psychology, current events, publicity stunts, Watchmen, the Kali Yuga, and how I can't make all of this stuff up. So I'm just going to click on links and just kind of show you my train of thought as opposed to just saying my train of thought, because my train of thought is kind of crazy and it's all over the place. So y'all gonna have to help me as I try to attempt to help you. And really getting before, cause like you could listen to this whole video and you can miss the point. The point of this video is that we don't know who we are. And since we don't know who we are, we give it up to these corporations and these establishments who are public holding companies of the colonial forces that invaded this country some 400 years ago, and that regime that still sits in place to this day. So in that aspect, when it comes to entertainers, entertainment is like left hand, right hand. And so in understanding that, we're coming back into the twin energy, where you might not understand twin energy, but in reference to ancient mythology, twin energy is the basics, okay? You have a twin soul. You have a twin flame. And that twin flame is like a phoenix rising, but it's not a boo thing. It's your soul, okay? And for people who don't have a soul, they latch on to people with souls. And the people with souls are ignorant to it because they just want a check. They want to make money and they don't want to be poor. They don't want to die. They don't want to be in a bad situation. So they will take whatever you give them and they will do whatever you tell them to do because they are afraid. Okay. So in this conversation, I'm going to base it on the fact that there is no such thing as a coincidence. In fact, what you think of as a coincidence is specific messages that God is sending directly to you. Because I promise you, I did not want to talk about Kanye West, nor his album, nor Charlemagne the God. I didn't want to talk about none of this. I didn't. I was thinking of something more deeper, more esoteric to talk about the dream world and the astral plane and all of that. Spirit wouldn't let me. Everything must go. Kanye West says, if my internet speeds up, I'm doing a lot on my computer at this present moment, so be patient with it. Sometimes you have to get rid of everything. And I'm just kind of establishing some initial links between the Joker and Kanye West and twin energy. Everything must go is the sign that the Joker is holding. But let's look closer at this sign. What do you see on this sign specifically? What is the symbol specifically on the sign? It's a music symbol, okay? It's a music symbol. And the clown, now, I have plenty of videos. I got 2 specific videos that speak to hip hop and minstrelsy. Then I have another video that speaks about Joker and the Batman. And there's a specific part in there where I root the white clown to the blackface clown. Not the white clown, sorry. The white face clown that we see, that we pay for at our kids' party to entertain, so forth and so on, is a direct link to the blackface minstrel that we are ashamed of or whatever. I mean, have you done your research would be the question. So that's just kind of an initial link. Now, back to this. Get my roller together. All right. Arthur Fleck and Kanye West equal out to 123 and English ordinal. They both equal out to 6 in full reduction. Reverse ordinal, they reduce to 3. Reverse full reduction, they reduce to 3. So if you put that all together, you could equal out to 666. And this is apocalyptic. And apocalyptic doesn't necessarily mean something bad. It just means that it's something hidden that's being brought to the surface. And so this is the reason that made me start. This is where I started off at, because I said, I'm going to let this go, but let me just check geometrically if Arthur Fleck and Kanye West are related at all. And if they're not related, I'll leave it alone. Well, as you see, they are deeply related. And you might say, Kyrie, Hood Mystic, that don't mean shit though. What's gematria? And I would say you are suffering from conscious ignorance, meaning that you think because you don't, the cricket agrees, that if you, I got a pet cricket. I'm gonna just put that out there. So I'm gonna say some stuff and he gonna add on, but that's how this is. The truth is stranger than fiction. Okay. Now, back to conscious ignorance. People suffer from conscious ignorance. They think that because they don't know something that makes it not valid. Or because their teacher taught them something, then that's all that they need to know. Because they pay their rent on time, because they pay their car note on time, because their kids look good for school, that all is right with the world. So when I start referencing gematria, you get off the bus and you want to go back home. And that's perfectly fine. But the truth is much stranger than fiction. What is gematria? Gematria, quite simply, is geometry and this is live. Geometry and grammar put together. Okay? It's a system of mind control. It's a system of divination also. Because if you included gematria into your incantations and into your spells and knew your name and your frequency based upon your numerology, your life would be aligned to that proportion. Now, conscious ignorance, which is the law of the land, we all suffer from it. We all see stuff like quantum mechanics and be like, to hell with that, right? Because it's too complicated. That's not the cricket. Tell her to stay outside. Because she loud. Live, you feel me? And the kids, they going to stay outside too. And I don't care, it's cold. No, they can come in. Okay, gematria. Kanye West, Arthur Fleck represents, well, in the belief that words or phrases with identical numerical values bear some relation to each other or bear some relation to the number itself as it may apply to a person's age. Okay? Age could be wisdom or space and time. And time is relative time. Then there's also deep time. And the deeper you go into time, the wider it gets, where we examine our time in 24-hour spectrums. The deeper time you get, you could look at 1,000,000 years and be like, well, this is what happened over this 1,000,000-year period. So ages are also related to spiritual levels. So when you reference Kanye West, which represents a more ancient, primal, godlike energy, right? Let's just call it what it is. Let's just get that out the way. Because whether you like Kanye West, whether you dislike Kanye West, that's not the conversation that we're having. Whether you think it's Beach Jam, whether you like his last CD, that's not the conversation that I'm personally having. I'm dealing more or less with the energy. And I've seen this man. And I've seen the energy vampires attached to him and succeed and get their shit popping off while he suffers, right? So I understand that, and we'll get to the whole you got to stay with me all the way to the end to see why I think this is all my theory. This is all what I feel. When I was talking to Ross Ben in my last interview, he told me specifically to say what I feel and ask questions later. So if this offends you or makes you mad, blame him. Okay. There is no such thing as coincidences. In fact, what you think of as coincidences are actually specific messages that God is sending you directly, okay? Talking to my wife about the video. She says, something is making me say Jumanji. And I'm saying, Jumanji? Well, babe, there's no such things as coincidences, and Jumanji got something to do with this conversation that I'm having. So I plug it in. It equals out to 68. Some other words associated with it are Sophia and Barack Obama. Now, Sophia or Sophie, that is a character in the movie The Joker, which turns out to be a fantasy relationship that the Joker has with this person. And that also ties into Barack Obama too, because Sophia is also the god of wisdom, which represents the establishment, whether you have the clergy, the pope, your priests, your pastors who doing cunnilingus on social media. These people represent somebody that's close to God or close to Sophia, when the reality is that that's not true at all. It could be a person like me or a person like you that's extremely closer to the goddess, and their idea of the relationship to the goddess is a pure fantasy. And back to Barack Obama, where we have a man that's melanated and he is a president, we have, people doing the damn fool. Now, I'm going to talk over this while this plays, because I just want you to see what I'm talking about. Now, 2008 was a different time for us, right? I'm not being mean. I'm just laughing at our ignorance and our inability to do research on people and imagine that, because when you reference black men, right, you reference an experience. You don't reference a skin tone. Even more so, I know that it's some white boys that I've been locked up with, or some white boys that I got down and dirty with, and their mom had they was getting force-fed Ritalin the same way I was getting force-fed Ritalin at a young age. You understand? It's a particular neuromelanin that people want to suppress, and this machine will eat its own kind. It's not necessarily black and white, in my opinion, because there's Asian people, there's Mexican people, there's, red people, there's Indonesians, Ethiopians. All of these people have different understandings of life, right? But black and white is an interesting relationship because it's a twin. It is a mass conspiracy that pervades our cultures and pervades our way of thinking. Now, we can go to Africa and go to every country and visit every tribe. Do you think they all identify as one ethnic source? It's just it's a mentality that exists in this country and other countries based upon this twin energy that's actually founded in entertainment. But I think that's a larger discussion. I got into it in previous videos as well, specifically the Joker. and the Sacred Clown video. I get into it in full detail. So what I mean by Kanye being a ancient, to finish about Barack Obama though. So you had a bunch of people put their hopes and dreams into this person because they thought that he shared an experience. But the reality of it was that he was born in Hawaii. His family was rich. When he came to the States, he went to college. You know, he doesn't identify with your struggle. Never did identify with your struggle. And if you looked at the statistics and you removed race, you would see that he was one of the worst presidents ever, right? There's actual articles written about that, so do your Googles on that. But moving on to Kanye. Kanye, to me, represents this energy. When his mother named him, she named him purposefully and with full intent of who he was and where he was born. Born in the Mecca, born in Gotham City, right? The heart of Gotham City. He is the next in line to the chieftaincy. His name means let's give, or to give honor to. Once or one time, together or togetherness. It could also mean discuss in the Iwe language. And I'm not even a fan of Kanye West, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. When it comes to him and his energy, it's about bringing people together. Whether you're talking about concerts, whether you're talking about, Rockefeller and him and Just Blaze, his wife, his relationship with Trump. He's just a relationship guy. When he makes music, he uses like hundreds of writers and many producers. He's a guy that thinks about the collective, and the collective responds to him and his energy. And this is the main reason why he needed to be hijacked, because in his name, Kanye is his nature, the next in line to the chieftaincy, the king, right? And this is who he saw himself as for a large percentage of his career. And then some things have happened. But before we get into that, we have to always reference and understand that there's no such thing as a coincidence. In fact, what you think of as coincidences are actually specific messages that God is sending directly to you. 1, 2, 3, right? Kanye West. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West named their fourth child Psalm. Wouldn't you naturally put Psalm and 1, 2, 3 together and see what the hell that's talking about? If you wouldn't, I for sure would. Yeah, Psalm 6, right? I want to get to the point of it all, because this is what the Bible. So the Bible becomes a dictionary for numbers. Okay, that's what its true purpose is. It's a dictionary for gematria. See, we're talking about Hebrew letters, and we're talking about magic, and we're talking about hermeticism, mysticism, and getting things done on the astral plane. And it's down and dirty. And where you might not be skeptical of cutting the chicken's head off because it's gross, it's people who don't care about a chicken. And I'm gonna just stop there. You could go there if you want to, of what people are capable of doing when it comes to getting what they want, ambition and things of that nature, how it drives us and motivates us off a damn cliff, right? So Psalms 1, 2, 3 is a particular prayer based upon how the followers, they're mad. Their soul, they're beyond mad. Their soul, I can't say it better than David. What is their souls are exceedingly filled with contempt. You don't know what that's like to just be so mad at the world. And the reason why they're so mad is because they look at the world and they see these people who are so at ease. And this ties into who are these people? It's more or less centered on slaves. Now, in this, whatever translation, they translate servant, but in the King James Version, is actually slaves. Behold, as the eyes of slaves look to the hand of their masters. So, what you have is a population of people who are oppressed. And it's not just you, black people. I know we want to take the crown for oppression. There are plenty of people, all races, all ethnicities, who look at colonial America all throughout the world. Throughout the world. Who souls are filled with contempt. They look at you living so easy and you being so proud and filled with so much ego, and you have no idea what it's like to have your home bombed. And we could look back at Tulsa in 1921, or we could probably look in the news yesterday. I'm sure it happened somewhere. The turmoil that people are living in presently, because we're so consciously ignorant and so fixated on what happens around us, we've created this bubble. And in that bubble, they show us what's really happening and what's really going down beneath the surface. Now, since we have a news cycle where we only pay attention to what happened in the past 3 days, we can somehow lose track over what happens in the long term, like what happened maybe 3 years ago. Well, I remember Kanye West didn't believe in Jesus or put Jesus on the pedestal as he does today. He was more or less saying that he was God. He said he was Jesus. His name was literally Jesus. And he had songs called I Am a God. And then you fast forward maybe 5 years, 6, 7 years later, he talking about Jesus as king. That's a little alarming. That's a little alarming, especially when you think about what brought about this change. And it happened in 2016 when he was on stage one night. And this was after a long string of canceled shows and people just wanting their money back. And he comes out one fateful night and he goes in on Beyonce, Jay-Z, radio, MTV, November 21st, 2016. And then shortly after this, he goes into a mental asylum. And then you don't see him again until 2018. And for some reason, he's talking about slavery for 400 years. And that sounds like a choice. And he's riling social media up. But he's a Gemini, so he's conflicted. And he's in the realm of half-truth. So his expression is going to come out like a double-sided tongue. Because there's truth in that. We do suffer from mental slavery. But you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the one who galvanizes us. But if you study Kanye West's career, you see him being upset that these corporations don't support him. You see him that he's not being accepted by the establishment. You see him breaking up with or just going through all of these changes with the establishment, seeking acceptance. And none of this really adds up to a man who would call himself the number one artist in the world right now, the number one human being in music. This more or less centers to, if you was to have a chief or a priest king, and his role was to elevate the people and guide the people because he had influence. And he took that influence and made it become pride and ego. He bought him a big house, bought him a beautiful wife, got him a nice car, and just styled on you. As a people, you would be lost. Do you understand that? You would be so lost as a people if your spiritual leaders knew they were spiritual leaders, knew they were gods, and because of that, they just lavished themselves with material things. As a society, we would be messed up. And it comes out in the lyrics. It comes out in the lyrics. 2010, my man's, he was the king. And his name wasn't Jesus either. His name was Kanye. Okay? He was the king. And he knows it within himself. You would have to know it, right? You would have to know you have power if you're a rock star, right? You're not just any old rock star. You're Kanye West. You have to know there's some spiritual power in you. So he spent 5,000 hours writing this song, Power. And it's really the psychology behind the lyrics. It's not just blatantly saying that I've got all the power. He's telling you that I really shouldn't have all this power. No one man should have all this power. You got to listen to that song. I would play it, but copyright and things like that. So, fast forward to 2019, and my man's done flipped. Comes out with an album called Jesus is King. And I want to kind of pause right quick and speak from the heart. I'm not a Christian, but this is disgusting, right? This is disgusting. Because whether you believe in Jesus or not, whether you're a Christian or not, to have somebody use your religion as a way to get money, as a way to become relevant, is disgusting. Kanye and Away means disgust. So his his approach is shameless. My thing is, do people take this seriously? Would you buy a shirt like this? Like, is there some style value to this? I don't know. Maybe because the text is shaped in the form of a cross or something. I don't know. Maybe the aesthetic or the fabric. I don't know. But if people in church and they souls require them to be at church and they souls require them to be pastors, deacon, usher board members, then it's not for me to take advantage of their ignorance to truth. And because my career is falling off, I start to exploit them. Because if you think about his last album and his beef with Drake, what was poignant to me in the battle was how Drake was always saying that, you know, you don't even rap no more, bro. You just do publicity stunts now. Make America great again. Hang out with Trump. Say this. Say that. I was on opioids. I was doing this. I married her. I married da 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 da. It's just all publicity stunts. It's all chaos to stay relevant. To stay relevant. Why would these artists have to stay relevant? So why would they be what it seems to be selling their souls for attention and fame? The music album is dead. When was the last time you bought some music? You gave all your money to Spotify, don't lie. You gave all your money to Tidal, don't lie. You ain't supported your artists. You ain't been to no show lately. Nobody buying CDs, son. Especially hip-hop artists. Hip artists have seen the light way before the rest of the industry, concentrating on releasing more singles instead of waiting until a group of songs were finished to release an album. The idea is having a new song on the charts is now better than waiting until next year to release an album of 10 songs, of which probably 1 or 2 will get the attention anyway. Even more so, I don't think they even accepting albums on iTunes. Apple's recent decision to no longer accept iTunes LP submissions shows that music consumers aren't currently interested in a bundle of songs. Like, people don't even care about music no more. They just care about your little shenanigans. So that's what these artists do. These artists will do anything for attention. And all of these people, right? I'm going to get back to it in a second. I'm going to just take a little left turn real quick. Kanye, Tank, no difference. Talk about something crazy. Something that the people would be interested in. Something scintillating. And then drop my album. Buy my album, please. Please, niggas. I do whatever. I say whatever you want. Let's talk about it. It's sad. It's sad. But we living in a time now where they're trying to, right, don't say that. Keep that on the low. I'm gonna say it in a nice way. I'm gonna say it in a politically correct way. They are triggering or inciting racial tension. Is that a good way, Cricket? Crickets. Good one. An apocalyptic war arising from racial tensions between blacks and whites. Helter Skelter. Charles Manson, that's what he was trying to incite, and all of these types of things. But a lot of what I've been seeing in the media, I've seen it ramp up since like Barack Obama becoming like president. But then, I mean, damn, I would have to go back to a time where it wasn't no slave movies whatsoever. It was Roots, and that was it. And then they started coming left and right. It was like every goddamn month it was a new slave movie. And I'm just like, okay. And then, you know, the news was talking about racially motivated killings between cops and black youth. And all of these different things started stemming up. And I'm like, this was years ago. And I'm like, they're trying to trigger something. But every time they trigger something, they fail, you know. And maybe people protest, but, you know, people got to go back to work, you know, say, forget about it or whatever, you know. And then this show came out called The Watchmen. And I was like, wow, they really going in. They had Raleigh, right? The funny part about this show I like to listen to it without watching it. And I just be imagining that it be Raleigh doing all the ass kicking. Raleigh from the Boondocks. doing all the ass kicking in it. That shit be funny. That's a side note.
It took me a minute.
Yeah, that is. It's like a alternate universe within an alternate universe, right? The Watchmen is a great. No, it's not even that great. It's whack. It's sensational. You know, it's extreme. It's over the top. It's something to make you feel a certain type of way about. Mm-hmm. It's a psychological experiment, you know. A lot of things in that show are mirrors to what's going on or mirrors to what they want to attempt in the world. And it's a representation of the world that we live in. So, Watchmen, right? I had to look up the numbers. One question, though. Is this too much? Shit. Charlemagne, the Watchman, Kali Yuga. What's Kali Yuga? We all know about Charlemagne the God leaving the Breakfast Club and all of that, but I'm pretty sure it's deeper than that. But let's get into the Kali Yuga. How do we know we're in the Kali Yuga? And the Watchman represents the Kali Yuga. It's like something that they feel that needs to happen, right? They feel like to get the world started in turmoil and chaos, they need to get this thing started. Like, you know, this war started between these two groups of people, but there's like 100 different ethnic groups. Why are these two ethnic groups so deeply entrenched in a history? Well, they're not. They're creating this narrative so you can feel a certain type of way. Because I'm pretty sure you don't feel nothing towards Chinese people or Mexican people until you hungry, right? Or until you want to go to the Botanica or go get your nails done, and it's like it's no beef. It's just like understanding of particular ethnic groups and ways of life. This is a condition of the Kali Yuga, and the Watchmen are trying to incite an end time event. And so maybe you think I'm crazy, or but you guys are ignorant of Dharma. So you got to imagine that the world was a blissful, wondrous place where everything existed in harmony and order. You got to imagine life like that. You got to imagine life like that for thousands of years, though. Not like, oh man, I can't believe I had a good day today. Oh man, I'm so happy. I had a good day finally. It's been a while. No, every day, bliss, joy, prosperity. You die, your mama die, your parents, your grandkids, generations of just pure bliss. And then somebody like me comes up one day like, hey, peep this hot shit out. It's gonna be a time, right, where families are ignorant of their lineages and their ancestry. And you will look at me like, you crazy. That's like everything. We know where we're going because we know where we're from. Like, we'll never lose that. Nah, I'm not done. There'll be a time where, like, people will just kill people for no reason at all. Shut the fuck. Yeah, I'm not even done. You know, your wife Somebody would want to have sex with your wife and you're already married to her. Yeah, like all the time. Actually, your wife will post pictures of herself on Instagram to get attention from other dudes while you're at work. Yeah. And sin will be everywhere. People be going to jail. We'll have to arrest people because they'll just like want to steal stuff. They'll be like kleptomaniacs. Well, the world is abundant. We can create anything through agriculture and farming. Yeah, people ain't gonna give a shit about that. They're not gonna care about agriculture? How are they gonna eat? They're gonna go to a place where these corporations poison their food and then sell it to them. Yeah. It's crazy stuff. I'm preparing you for it. So write all this down. Okay, cool. We're gonna have to write about this because they is not gonna believe this when they wake up, right? Gurus will no longer be respected and their students will attempt to injure them. Their teachings will be insulted. The followers of Kama will wrest control of the mind from all human beings. Kama is sexual desire. So sexual desire will wrest control of the mind from all human beings. I deal with people and this is true. All they care about is sex and having it with somebody soon as possible. And they get it and they're empty inside and lonely because they just wasted their energy. It's not just women, it's guys too. Lost, confused. And women will no longer get married. All of this would be preposterous in Marquis de Yanda's day. But today, all of these things are normal everyday occurrences, just letting us know that we're in the Kali Yuga and also that the Kali Yuga is ending. I don't know when yeah. As well as the Yogananda believe that the Kali Yuga has already ended and that we are now ascending to Devapara Yuga. So we're moving on from all of this craziness, right? We're moving back into our ancient ways of light. We're understanding Dharma. We're not just doing random stuff. We're like leveling up and understanding people. But Watchmen and programs that are going to be coming up with this understanding that, you know, there's this war that needs to happen between these two people. These two people should be fighting because look what we did to them in the 20s. You know, they're going to be pulling up all types of stuff. Harriet Tubman. Look what we did to Harriet. We did her dirty. Ain't y'all mad about it? And if we don't get mad about that, they'll pull up somebody else. And they'll constantly show these images in like a boiling pot. They're trying to incite something. And they're doing it on multiple levels. In the show, Watchmen, right? These are Rorschachs. Now, Rorschach is the test that you take when you seeing like ink blots. Hold on, you can't see that. Let me show you. So, yeah. But they are representing the 7th Cavalry. And so some interesting things about the 7th Cavalry. When it pops off, so this is how they play you in Watchmen, right? They make you think that it's African American, right? But they're talking about Oklahoma. Now, if you know anything about Oklahoma, Oklahoma is where they sent the people from the Trail of Tears. They sent them to Oklahoma. Oklahoma was Indian reservation land. And to continue the conspiracy around 1921, that was around the time of Noble Drew Ali waking people up and telling people that they're not from Africa and all of these types of things. And at the same time, they're attempting to suppress him in the Moorish Science Temple. They're suppressing Black Wall Street. But what's the reason why they're doing it is not because they're quote unquote African Americans. They're doing it because they have ties to the land. They have tradition. They have, you don't just wake up and, you know, we like to believe in the genius, but that's only part of it. A lot of it is tradition and culture and having ancestors. So where you think it's about racists, And they don't like you because of your skin tone. No, they don't like you because of your ancestry. And they will destroy your ancestry before they destroy you, because your ancestry is everything. And so for Kanye to come out with a CD called Jesus is King is really crazy, right? Because it's like, okay, Jesus is King. You talking about the same Jesus that came over to this country and forced people to adopt Christian names so we could lose our history? Whether it's Anthony, Washington, Johnson, Baker, Philip, like, and, Matthew, Luke, John, all of these biblical names with no real understanding of the etymological source. And then even if you know that name from back to forth, where was your history and life and upbringing before that? You have no idea. So like I said, Arthur Fleck, Kanye West, Jesus, all of this is an ancient American tradition. And you like ancient American tradition? Yes, ancient American tradition. Do you not know about Calalus, a Roman Jewish colony in America from the time of Charlemagne through Alfred the Great? America from the time of Charlemagne. Oh, I can just do this. Okay? You don't know about this, but since you don't know about this, I'm probably lying, because everything that you know is the truth and everything you don't know is a lie, right? Okay. If that's your logic, hey, have fun. But in the search of information, in the search of truth, we find the great Holy Roman Empire Emperor Charlemagne, who was connected to, I don't want to mess this up, the Jewish merchants who understood ancient trade routes. Let me see if I can. Let me do Control F, trade. Yeah, there we go. Where'd you find this? Trapaholics. Jewish merchants who controlled the ancient trade routes. Okay. The Roman Jewish kingdom of Rhoda. The Rhodeans. This is where you get the word Rhode Island. And you get the state of Maine. Right? Let me see. That's where you get your baby daddy, Jermaine. See how it's all connected? See how there's no coincidences? Maine of America, where giant ogre heads of the Olmec are found. Right? So all of this is going on, right? Right. He's like, look at the Olmec heads. This is in America. This ain't in Africa. This is found in America. But since this is how we think, right? The Europeans made this imaginary line that go from the bottom of California down to New Mexico all the way to Texas, and that line now exists. So even in our ancient mind, right, that line was there. How about that line never really truly existed? And for us to know who we are, we need to deal with North, Central, and South America. Okay? Reason why they keep us in that imaginary line is because the moment you walk into Mexico, the moment you go to La Venta, the moment you just travail Central America, you get your history. You get your truth. But if you think you from Africa, you think you from North America, you think you're from the United States of America, man, you got about 5 or 4 layers to get through till you can get to some truth. The Olmec ogre image, which the ogre is based on. Shrek is your ancestor. No wonder your kids like Shrek, right? Right. 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 This family been getting it in for a while. My main man's Mr. Phoenix. Kanye did a whole album to bruh. Did you know that? He called it Jesus is King. Well, who's Jesus? Oh my goodness gracious. So you mean to tell me that in his last real role, Joaquin Phoenix was literally Jesus, and then he came off that to become the Joker? And I ain't even gonna talk about Charlie's sisters. I don't got enough time, I don't got enough energy, and I know you don't got enough patience. But the sisters, brother, you need to watch this damn movie. Because this is talking about the hijack of the black magician Herman. And you know they like to switch stuff up, but they like to give you enough clues that you know what's what about gold and contaminating the water supply. And I mean, they go in on this movie, The Sisters, Brother. That's a side note. But Jesus, Joker, King. Jesus is King. They just doing more build up to that movie, and that movie is just more of like, you can say like it's just a movie, but this is part of the Batman series, okay? The Batman series is not about a comic book character. That's about a hijack of a mythological character. Now, they already told us that we 3/5 of a human being, and we have accepted that generations ago. So we deaf, dumb, and blind. We don't know nothing up here. Give us some rent. Give us a car. Give us some school clothes, and we are straight. Give me a couple trips. We are straight. Ancient mythological energy is not necessary as long as my bases are covered. But say, for instance, you cover your bases and then you want to learn more about your history, you going to go straight into my man's Kamazats, who is the bat god, the death bat. I didn't even finish. I know this is scattered and this is just a stream of conscious. This made me think about that I didn't get to finish talking about Sister Night, because I was clowning her sounding like Raleigh, which it is Raleigh. Little Bighorn, right? The Seventh Confederacy. When she get the text message and Watchmen, look at the page, it say Little Bighorn. Now, Little Bighorn is not when a bunch of quote unquote African Americans banded up to go against the 7th Cavalry. It is when the Lakota, the Sioux, and another group that escapes me at this present time banded to go against the 7th Cavalry, and they won. Okay, Little Bighorn is a win, right, for them, right? And so we got Sister Night. She's part of it. Death. Death is, ignorance. Not understanding life. Not understanding, like, reincarnation and all of that. Like, ignorance. Conscious ignorance. Like, people here, a lot of conscious people reference people who don't understand the esoterics is dead. They dead, right? And sacrifice. These are all ancient mythological themes, and stay with me one time as I try to make sense of it. So right here we got the Kichi, or the twins, or the Maya twins, or Kamazats. If you look at it though, he has two sides. Now, was I talking to you or was I talking to Live when I said that? If you Okay, 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 okay. I gotta work on my memory, but the cricket was telling me, I was saying it on a live, that twin energy is the basics to ancient mythology.
Yeah, you were telling me.
I was telling you.
Talking about it.
Mm. Cricket be lying. Well, the basic thing that we need to understand about ancient mythology is that twin energy is the root of it. Yes, I was saying the twin flame, and you think that you is your bae thing or your boo thing, but it's really your soul.
You said it both times then.
Yeah, I said it both times. So, understanding that they play a different game with you. On one hand is the knife, and on the other hand is the heart. Somebody's going to do the cutting while the other person is going to do the holding, and that's just how it's going to go. And you might not agree with that. I don't agree with that either, but this is how the game goes, and the game is called scapegoating. Humans love to play the blame game. Adam blamed Eve. Hitler blamed the Jews. When something bad happens, it's always someone else's fault. Such is the life of the scapegoat. The practice of scapegoating is older than old. Okay? The practice of scapegoating is older than old. So this is the relationship. So you think like I'm talking and you might not know what I'm talking about, and I want to be super duper clear. The relationship between black and white people as it stands in mainstream media America is a result of scapegoating. You have these people who do atrocities, known atrocities throughout the land, right? But these are the same people who go to goddamn golf clubs every day, damn near, and just sit and golf on your ass, and you would cancel or lock up the opposite of that person, and you wouldn't bat an eye, because this is a spiritual thing. And I know like you might not agree with it, or you might not even understand it, but what I'm saying is that there are hundreds of ethnic groups. There are melanated people, there are dark people, there are all types of ethnic groups. Why do you think black and white people are pitted against each other in mainstream media? Because this is a result of a practice. Israelites used 2 goats to symbolize their sins. One was sacrificed to appease God, while the second was slain to pacify Azazel, an evil spirit. An act of religious symbolism, a priest conveyed the sins of the Israelites to the goat meant for Azazel. The unlucky goat was then tossed off a cliff. So they can get rid of you. And once they get rid of you, they're absolved. It's just a different level of understanding life, that because you're such a good person, you just don't understand it. But when you see a black man getting vilified, when you see a black man and you say, man, he's crazy, that nigga done lost his mind, right? Understand the energy games that's going on with people who are so psychologically hurt that they will sell their soul. They will sell their mom for money. And then to not be in a specific place of their counterparts, they would do even worse. Because they look at their partner suffering, who might have had pride, might have said, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, you don't want to do that. Then it's people like Kanye West looking at that like, oh, I need to do whatever Master say do, just so I don't have to go through that. So that was my presentation. I didn't look at no comments or nothing like that. Huh?
So there was more than questions, just conversation.
Just more conversation. Yeah, I didn't know if people was watching it or if it sounded crazy. Like, did it make sense? Like, did people like it or? Yeah. Well, I'm happy for that. Really just wanted to do something for y'all, something interesting, because I know like people like talking about celebrities and entertainers, and I do too. I just kind of don't do it a lot, so enjoy it while you got it. Maybe I should do an episode 2, but I'm gonna just let it come to me like this episode came to me, because I didn't really go far for none of this. This was kind of like normal conversation. I probably could go a little deeper, but I just could have kept, like, you don't understand, like I was just adding stuff and adding stuff and adding stuff. I'm like, look, this is going to be an 8-hour video if I just keep going, so let me just stop and go and work with what I got. So hope that was enjoyable. Hope I didn't ramble too much. I tried to make this a little entertaining, show you a little bit of my personality. I personally like to laugh a lot. I like to joke. I like to kid around. Don't mean to offend anybody. It's just my sense of humor. And I realize that a lot of people don't share that sense. So, sucks for you. With that being said, man, hoodmystic.com. See you guys. Oh, what else I was going to say? I'm gearing up for a second season of daily energy readings. I would like some guests, though, for these daily energy readings. I formulated some people that I'm already going live with, but I want to add to that list. So if you're interested in talking politics, spirituality, astrology, the daily energy readings, I want them to be like vast. I don't want to just be astrology, whether you into tarot, you don't even do nothing. You speak to the ancestors. You go live from a cemetery in the morning. Some wild stuff. I want to be interested and kind of deal with the daily energy. You feel me? And that's going to start after. Yeah, I said I was going to start Tuesday. So I'm starting Tuesday. On Wednesday, be back with Honcho. And yeah, so be looking out for that. Thank you guys for all your support. Even if you don't support part 2 is coming. Episode 2 is coming then. Don't even worry. I'm happy y'all liked it, because I was just hoping that y'all would enjoy it, because, it's different.